Today, I'm going to talk about how I stay organized in my personal life. I like to keep my systems for work and my personal life completely separate. So if you would like to see a video on how I stay organized at work and specifically at my job as a junior lawyer, please let me know in the comments down below and I'd love to film that for you. But today I'll be talking about all the different apps that I use, as well as some general organizational tips that I hope you will find helpful. The first key way that I like to stay organized is by creating and updating different lists. I rely on one app on my phone in particular, and it is called Todo. I'm going to talk through all the different lists that I have. I will just be very upfront. I'm a little bit of a crazy list person. I feel like I have a list for everything, but I really do feel like this app is so useful to keep on top of everything. As you can see, I have this general to-do list at the very top, and this is where I keep my shorter term to-do list items. So you'll see things like complete hospital admission form, sort out Medicare rebate, confirm leave for surgery, as I have a wisdom teeth surgery coming up very shortly, and there's a lot of things that I'll need to complete before that date. So I've got all of these shorter term tasks, and I really love this app because you can create so many different types of lists, and you can also set reminders for particular tasks. So for example, confirm leave for surgery. I will add a little reminder and it's going to remind me tomorrow at 9 a.m. So as soon as I start my work week, it's going to tell me that I have to send an email to my manager and request leave. I find that function really useful, especially if you're a little bit forgetful. What I also like to do is to star the important tasks that I really need to get done. My next list is a longer term to-do list. So these are things like collect stuff from work gym locker. So obviously this is not urgent. It's sort of nice to do, but doesn't need to get done right away. I also have another item saying get clothes tailored. Not super important, but it's still something that I have in the back of my mind, and I like to just jot it down so it's not taking up that mental space. Now moving on to my next list, I also have a groceries list. I add items into this list during the week when I think of something, and I really love this list because it's a shared one with my partner. So you can see in the top right hand corner there's a little 2. So my partner and I can both edit this list, so it's collaborative. And it's just really useful when we might do groceries at different times. Moving on, I have these 2 lists. One is called Chemist Warehouse / online, and the second is IKEA / Kmart. So those are places that I will occasionally go to, like pretty frequently. I always find myself in that situation where I'm at the chemist and I know I need to get something, but I just can't quite remember until I get home. So these lists really help me. So whenever I'm at those locations, I will just make sure to pull up this list. That really helps me because honestly, my memory is not the best. Moving on to the final list in this section, and that is my wish list. You can see the little 23. So I have 23 items on my wish list. But this is my ultimate wish list. It helps me resist making impulsive purchases. So for example, if I'm in the store and a beautiful dress catches my eye, I will look back to my wish list and, it does not say beautiful summer dress. And it's just a good reminder that that's an impulsive purchase. I don't need a summer dress. I have a billion dresses at home. So that's just another list that I wanted to mention. I have lists like docos to watch, movies and TV shows to watch, places to eat, podcasts to listen to, and books to read. So I feel like whenever I'm chatting with my friends or with my family, they always have recommendations. And I just find these lists really helpful because I really do want to get around to consuming those recommendations. And then I have my final list, which is a trip packing list. And I found that really useful for all my essential items, so I don't have to keep creating a new list every time I'm going away. So obviously it's not super relevant during this COVID time and traveling is so much more limited. But I used to frequently go on road trips with my partner and friends. So it was really useful to always have this trip packing list to refer to. Moving on to the next app that I use, and it is Google Calendar. So I used to like iCal, but I've definitely shifted to Google Cal. I find it is more reliable, and I really like its automatic functions. So for example, when you book a restaurant online and it sends you an email confirmation, your Google Calendar will update with the details of your reservation. I also like how you can invite friends to particular events, as well as set reminders so you know when you have an event coming up. Next, I will show you a glimpse of how I use Notion to organize all of my YouTube videos. That's the one central place where I dump all of my ideas for YouTube, where I plan out my videos, because I really like to know what I'm going to be uploading in the next couple of weeks. I feel like being organized with YouTube really allows me to not feel any stress from it, because I think once you put so much pressure on yourself to, for example, upload every week and think of ideas every week, etc., it can quickly turn into something stressful, and it'll stop being an enjoyable hobby. I feel like Notion is a real beast of itself, and I don't think it's super well known as an app yet. So if you'd like me to dedicate a whole video on how I use Notion to organize my YouTube, in case that's something you want to adapt for your projects or for your schoolwork, etc., let me know in the comments as well. Now, moving on to my final system. I am not completely paperless yet, so I still use hard copy notebooks such as this one that my friend got for me. And I really love it because it's a grid style format. But this is where I like to do all my weekly reviews. Doing a weekly review allows me to say goodbye to that old week and to really feel refreshed with this new week. And it makes me feel really motivated when I know exactly what I'm going to prioritize and what my weekly goals are. I like to reflect on what went well in the past week. So for example, I might say I meditated every day. I will also write down what I could have done better. So for example, go to bed earlier, which is definitely something that pretty much always appears in my weekly review. This is where I like to write the tasks that I absolutely have to get done that week. It helps me figure out how I'm going to organize my time during that week. And this is the portion where I also like to write down my exercise goals that week. I might just write exercise goals 4 times a week, and I have 4 boxes to tick off as I'm going through the week and smashing those goals. I am a person who is highly motivated just by the tick boxing exercise. I find it so satisfying, so I really like having this notebook that I'm constantly referring to throughout the week. Moving on to my general organizational tips. Write things down as soon as the idea enters your mind. So for example, if you think about, oh, I need to get this from the groceries next time, write that down. Otherwise, you're gonna forget it. We all know that feeling of coming home from a big grocery trip and realizing that you missed a crucial ingredient. I like to continually add to these lists on an ongoing basis. The same thing goes for all my appointments and my social catch-ups. As soon as I've made a plan, I'm putting it into my calendar. Another tip I would suggest if you're particularly forgetful is to set alerts and reminders whenever you can. And I also like to input earlier deadlines when things are a little bit more time sensitive. Another way that I stay organized, especially with my bigger tasks, is to break it up into manageable, bite-sized chunks. Otherwise, I'm definitely someone who will get overwhelmed. Sometimes I feel like when you just tackle something as this really big mammoth task, it can be so overwhelming that you don't even begin. My final big tip is to implement a system like a Sunday weekly review where you're giving yourself time to reflect on how things are going, what you can improve on, because I feel like that's one of the big things that lockdown has taught me is the importance of reflection. So incorporating that on a weekly basis has been really helpful for me. Giving myself time to really think about what are my key goals that I want to accomplish for the upcoming week really focuses my attention, especially when I feel like I'm that person who has a running to-do list all the time. So the weekly review has been so helpful, especially if you are also the type who might get a little bit more anxious on a Sunday evening, thinking about all the things that you have to get done. It's a really nice reflective space. And if you're someone who likes to time block, I think having your weekly goals allows you to really time block with a sense of purpose, because you know what you want to get done and you're trying to think about how you're going to spend your time effectively to ensure that you can complete your weekly goals around all the other activities that you have planned. So those are all the different ways that I like to stay organized in my personal life. I really hope you found some of those tips helpful. If you're also a bit of an organizational nerd like me and have an app that you want to suggest or recommend in the comments down below, please let me know. I would love to hear about it. I'm always open to leveling up my organizational game. If you enjoyed the video, please don't forget to like and subscribe. It really supports my channel. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next Sunday. Bye!